A word for our listeners. Masks of Nyarlathotep is set in the 1920s. We will be using terms and sayings from those times, including some that could be considered offensive. It is not our intention to offend. We merely wish to offer as accurate a view of the time period as possible. Welcome to the Nerds Domain presents Masks of Nyarlathotep. Join us each week as our investigators follow a path of clues and attempt to save the world from an ancient evil. Starring John Quiett, Jestin Kimmet, Shirley Niedzwiecki, George Chimples, Jason Hall, and Scott Troiano, with Matt Quiett running the table as keeper. Eldritch evils and crazed cultists await you just beyond this music.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started and pick up where we were at last time. Hey, Scott, do you remember where we were at last time?
No idea.
Okay,
I
so
do.
you guys.
Me.
Okay, go ahead, Shirley.
Oh, no!
No, Shirley, it's too late now.
I remember, sorry.
I vaguely
We
remember something
were
about some
going to
rich
visit
lady.
the Vane family, and the
yeah.
constable of the place asked us to look after big beasts, or look for big beasts, and they turned out to be werewolves.
So
or
you
wolves. We don't know if they're werewolves.
you
Well,
guys
he
are,
dropped the bomb of the priestess in the Druidic order, and everybody was like, oh.
yeah. So you guys are in Derbyshire, which is
Derbyshire.
a smallish town. You are now headed up to Castle Plum, where the Vane family lives. Sir Vane.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've been looking for some sort of monster of some sort. So you guys are headed up the hill towards the castle. It's around 11 a.m. now. You guys have been traipsing through the woods with the ever-competent constable.
I thought we sent him on his way.
Yeah, he's gone back to town, but you were going through the hill.
Yeah.
You just found some fur that is clearly from a wolf, a very shaggy wolf, and you're headed up to the castle. You approach up a road, or you come to a road eventually through the woods, and it leads you directly to the castle. Castle Plum is an older castle. It doesn't look in the greatest of repair. There are two large doors on the front. Can I get everybody to give me a check of some sort that I
Spot
spotted?
hidden.
There we go.
That was terrible.
Nope. Yo.
Yeah, I hope somebody sees
Made
this.
it by 90.
Yes.
Okay, Jason.
Spotted the hell out of that hidden.
Now you know how I feel when we roll for everything else.
So, those of you with a spot hidden, notice that there are not any tracks or anything that has been used as tracks going to those front doors. There's a clear cart and walking path that goes around to the side to a door over there.
So we go to the side door?
Well, having not seen those tracks, I'll just continue walking up the front door.
Yeah, I follow the captain's lead because he knows the etiquette around these parts. So,
And I'm gonna pull you back towards the side track. I'm going to unsaddle.
Your shotgun?
Yes, and
Why?
go around.
I don't know
We're in a
this.
woods that had a large dire wolf dog thing that went crazy, and we're about to round the castle.
I'm going to
No.
put my hand on the shotgun. Captain, this is your country, and so I'll be following your lead on this, but would it be a good idea to greet strangers with loaded firearms here?
I don't think it would be a problem to be ready.
I don't think there's any danger at night or during the day, though.
No, last month there was an attack, so they might have it restrained. I don't think we should provoke anybody into rash decisions either.
Fair enough.
And all the attacks were at night.
All right, I saddle back up.
Okay.
Put it away.
So you guys walk around, you find a small, essentially what it ends up being a side servant entrance. You would know, Captain Wilkerson, you would know this from, your own schooling. But it's clear that this is a well-used area, unlike the front. So what do you do?
Go up and knock.
Knock hard? Knock lightly? What do you... I mean, is it...
Politely firm.
Okay. A minute maybe goes by before you hear the door unlatch and open, and a young-ish, maybe late 20s maid opens the door and says, "Yes, how may I help you, folks?"
The Vanes?
This is Castle Plum. Yes, the Vanes live here.
Might we have audience? Are they available?
May I ask who's calling?
Captain Wilkerson. His Majesty's Royal Service.
Let me check with Sir Vane and see where he is at today. Please come inside. We'll have you wait in the parlor. And so she opens the door. This is clearly like the kitchen area.
Quick question.
Yes.
So the proper address be Sir and Lady for these individuals? Or
Yes, it would be Sir, and I believe Lady, isn't it?
That's usually the counterpart.
Is he knighted, or is he,
He is
just
knighted.
Is he just a member of the peerage?
He is
Which not
knighted.
just a member of the peerage, but
He is definitely knighted.
and that takes precedence over that? I don't know how that
if
goes.
he is Lord, then it would be Lord Vane.
But would it be Lord over Sir? Is my
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She brings you into a parlor, and there's there's couches and chairs in there, plenty of for all of you to sit in. It seems a little stuffy and a little cold. Even being inside, it just seems cold.
Unused.
Yeah, that's the kind of the feeling you get. And also, the fire's not lit in this room.
Wow.
Probably not used very often. When she brings you in, she leaves, and another woman, probably around the same age, comes in and lights the fire to get it started for you. It's at that time that and then she opens the doors, and you don't feel like the heat rush in, but you do feel heat kind of emanating in from the outside as well. It seems that they shut down a lot of at least this part of the castle if they're not going to use it. It's not a very big building overall, but it's clear that they can serve as much as they can.
They don't retain much, basically.
Yeah.
And how many members of the family are there?
As far as you've been led to believe, there's Sir Vane, his daughter, and his son. There's no Lady Vane that you're aware of.
And we've seen two distinct servants.
Yes. Two young ladies.
Two young ladies.
Youngish. So, yeah. As they open the door, you can see out into the main hall. It is even more unused. It's dark, but it's probably where the air flows through easiest, so they've opened that door up to you, and then you can hear some work back in the kitchen as well. Nothing unseemly, but it is almost lunchish time and probably preparing for dinner as well. So you wait maybe 10 minutes, and an older gentleman with almost like a pencil mustache comes down, dressed in a thick sweater with a jacket over it, appropriate for the times. And he comes in. I am Sir Arthur Vane, which you, sir, are Captain Wilkerson.
I am.
What may I do for you, sir?
I've been sent by my father to look into the attacks from last month.
Everybody can give me a psychology. It's not last month, it is the week before.
Or is the week before?
It's 2 months ago.
Oh, 2 months
Keep
ago.
that in mind.
I pass.
So did I.
Nope.
Those of you that passed, it is clear that he tenses slightly at the mention of the attacks. What can I tell you about them? I'm sure you've been to the town already.
Oh, yes.
And spoken with our good constable.
Yes.
Where's he at in the room? Did he come all the way into the room?
Oh yeah,
Is it
he's not seated, but he's comfortably in the room. Just
Okay, I'm going to
speaking.
kind of walk around the room and look at things. I'm
Okay.
interested in the surroundings.
Okay.
And
She's gonna play tourist.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just don't break into anybody's place.
No,
So-
I don't
so-
steal books.
So keep Jestin away from her.
Yeah, so keep that guy away from me.
Okay. You start looking around. Are you going to stay in the room?
Yes, I want to hear the conversation.
Okay.
But I'm just. You know.
If you've spoken with the constable and the townspeople, I'm not sure what else I can really add to that. The attacks happened 2 months ago. The constable shot whatever it was, and it's either dead or hasn't come back.
How have you been? My father would want me to ask.
No, other than this small issue, we've been fine. The town continues to prosper, and we take care of the castle as we can, and it's a quiet life out here.
Do I know, is there a Lady Vane?
You wouldn't know what happened, but you know there is no Lady Vane. It has been years.
But I do know that that he has a daughter.
Yes.
Do I know her name?
I believe
yes.
We were given her
mentioned,
name
yeah.
during the conversation.
Yeah.
Eloise.
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 Yes, and his son's name is Lawrence.
Oh, that's very good to hear. How are Eloise and Lawrence?
Well, they're doing quite well. Lawrence has begun studying some of the lesser-known aspects of custom making guns, and has been spending a lot of time doing that. Eloise stays with her painting, and is pretty quiet.
Oh, very good.
Ball detection.
Oh, go ahead and roll me psychology.
Perfectly reasonable for him to say that.
And I apologize. I have been remiss. Lord Vane, do let me introduce you to Lieutenant Weld from the Cambridge Welds. Professor Wentworth. Yeah, I got to turn over my little sheet here because we
Names
don't.
of the people you try to kill.
Oh,
I bow.
still a little bitter.
I bow and give him a namaste, the Lord.
Of course.
Professor Wentworth from Harvard, Mr. Ian Byrne, and Mr. Botticello, and of course Miss McCrea.
Howdy.
It is a pleasure to meet all of you. So, is there anything else any more information that you would need, or?
Well, the timing of the last attack was several months ago.
Yes.
It is my understanding that it was during the full moon.
That is correct. Yes.
That doesn't carry with it any spooky portent, does it?
I'm a reasonable man in the King's service. And reasonable men must look at the world in reasonable ways. Spooky. I mean, the full moon is always unsettling for animals and such, but nothing quite like that. Yeah, go ahead and roll that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm gonna get all over that.
As
I
they're
roll 100,
talking
then I roll a
about that,
97.
kinda come around
Got
to
it.
where they're-
Hold on.
oh.
Start again, Shirley.
I said, as they're talking about that, I kind of come around to where they are, and if there's like a trinket on the table or something, I pick it up and look at it, and then I look at Captain Wilkerson, and I'm at a place where I glance at him, but I look at the Vane, and I say, "You're not happening to talk about them werewolves, are you?"
So as Ms. McCrea mentions these werewolves,
Oh God!
in that ever so eloquent way that she does,
In her low-key fashion.
he stiffens more than a British gentleman should,
Stiff upper lip be damned.
and he clearly either you know the jig is up and he's going to have to do something about it, or you don't know the jig is up and you're really, really dumb and he's going to have to do something about that if you can stumble upon it. I mean, it's clear that he knows that you either know or you are too dangerous.
Okay, seeing that that's how it's going down, I'm going to... we'll approach very closely and say... reach a hand out to see how he reacts and say, "Do fathers have to be reasonable as well, my lord? We are students of the strange. We might be able to help."
Captain, you bring quite strange people into my house. These Americans are not as well bred as we would like.
We're young people. We are direct, my lord.
And I happen to categorize Lieutenant Weld as diverse.
If I remember correctly, you're wearing normal clothes.
Nope.
No, yeah,
It's
he
gym time.
he went back to rocking out in the pajamas.
Which I now respect more than I did when we started. Amen to that.
If I'm going to present myself as being someone who knows about weird stuff, I like the part, so...
Here it is.
Captain, it has been an excellent time seeing you, and I was happy to receive you. If there's anything you need while you're in the town, please feel free to send someone up, and I will make sure anything you need is taken care of. But at this time, I must get back to business at hand, and I will have the young Sarah show you out.
So you will relegate your daughter to this hell that you've made for her.
You, sir, are speaking of.
Lieutenant.
Most definitely.
Lieutenant.
I'm an American. We don't know any better.
Weldy, a moment. We don't wish to take any more of Lord Vane's time. Perhaps he could have his daughter visit upon us, and we could talk to her directly.
Just make sure it's not the full moon.
Do you say that in character?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, do you? Oh, dear God. Please, all coming apart.
Accept my invitation to dinner this evening.
Is she free now?
I'm sure she's busy. But this painting kick of hers has kept her very focused.
What about Lawrence?
I'm sure Lawrence is around.
I would like to visit with him, and I'm
Oh, have you not
a
guessed
bit
that
of
we're
a
on the menu?
expert on guns myself. I'd like to talk to him for a bit.
Perhaps this evening at dinner you two could discuss that.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure.
And we thank you for your time.
And he kind of steps back out, doesn't back out of the room like he's watching you to shoot you, but he backs calmly out of the room and turns, and quite quickly Sarah comes in, the first woman you met. If I may show you folks out.
I thought we were staying for dinner.
No, it's like noon, so staying for dinner would be coming back for dinner. It's a 15-minute walk up here.
All right.
I'll address her too. So, ma'am, I most apologize, but I know that you will not be able to speak to Lord directly about this, but we only wish to help and to make things right, and we are people who can do it.
I don't understand, sir.
Certainly you don't.
No. You would like to roll a psychology.
Don't pass.
I passed.
No clue what he's talking about.
I'm just gonna look at you and be like,
So he's giving me the cut it off motion, and I'm just playing.
Wait. Is
I
that
don't
the
care.
kill her motion?
No!
no, they're not Protestants.
Yes, she probably is.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. It was Sarah, correct?
Yes, Captain.
Is Eloise available?
She has taken to her room. I haven't seen her since yesterday.
Will she be joining us for dinner this evening?
That would be up to Eloise. I am unaware. We always set a place for her.
How often does she join you?
Most nights.
Was she in good spirits last evening when she retired?
It was yesterday midday, perhaps.
Midday?
Yes.
Is that strange?
Sometimes she gets caught up in what she does, so she doesn't remember to come down for dinner. I don't remember seeing her retire for the day, but if it was midday, I was probably in the kitchen assisting.
We are concerned for her.
Why so?
Her well-being, general health. The time of the season, the strange things that have been going on.
We are quite safe up here in Castle Plum.
I hope
And
that is
in
the
this
case.
winter, while cold, is not nearly as harsh as it has been.
Fair enough. I'm from Kent. I'm not necessarily
I understand.
familiar.
Yeah, well, up here, farther north, the snow, we're used to it.
That's what we were.
So are the animals, and the weather, it's just the weather.
Fair enough. Well, then we will return for dinner.
Oh, excellent. You will be joining us. The Lord had not, or the Sir Vane had not said anything.
Oh, yes, he had just invited us.
Oh, excellent. Well, then I will look forward to seeing the six of you then.
Wonderful.
And she kind of motions for you to follow her towards the door.
All right, I'll follow her.
And doesn't watch to see if you do. She just assumes you'll follow her to the door, and she heads to the door.
Out of character, you realize he invited you to dinner and not us.
No, I realized he invited. Adam.
He said Captain Wilkerson.
Oh, I thought the invitation. I'm bringing the whole troop. We're all eating.
No, he invited you to dinner.
I must have missed that part.
Yeah. So,
Where are we in the lunar cycle? And what's that sound?
Tonight
That's
would
my
be
phone.
last night, and tonight would be the full moon.
Full moon, okay.
Great. Yeah. And tomorrow night's the third night of the full moon, right?
Mhm.
Excellent. So, because I'm going to bring. I just told Sarah. And out of character, I missed that completely. I thought he was like, well, "Why don't you all come back for dinner?"
Yeah.
Is that not what the rest of you heard?
No, what
I
I
wasn't
heard
sure.
was, I really don't like these Americans. By all means, Captain Wilkerson, please return and don't bring me.
It was vague.
Yeah, he was trying to be polite about it, but I definitely picked it up.
So she walks you to the door. I assume you all follow.
Yeah.
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 And you find yourself out in the cold once again.
All right. We're head back to town.
Well, that wasn't very lucrative.
Well, we got an invitation to dinner. Or we're going to take
Are
an
you going
invitation
back
to
the
dinner.
way you came in, or would you like to go down the road, or
The road.
is there anything else you would like to do while you're up here?
Do we want to circle around in the woods around the castle and see
Yeah.
if there's any
Do we very obviously want to snoop?
signs of, well,
I
we've been
think-
here a bunch of
From
times. but
looking at the castle, there's no way they're going to be able to tell you're snooping. There are not glass on those windows.
No.
The windows are shut. I mean, that's
shuttered.
yeah. You don't keep those open during the winter. So, unless they come outside to watch you snoop, they're not going to notice if you do.
Then yeah, I think that's a great idea that we look for the potential path.
Can
of
I
wolf.
get track from anybody that has it actually trained, not just the base 10%?
Boom.
Wow.
Beat it by 43.
Okay. There we go. So you guys kind of go around for a little while out in the woods, maybe 20, 30 minutes that you're kind of circling around, and you get farther north because the castle is north of the town. And you find like a deer path through the woods. I'm sorry, a stag path. It has been established there are no deer, but only stags. Right. A path through the woods, and there is a stench, a very thick stench.
Like of death, dead bodies.
Yes.
dead-
And you follow the trail and gore to what looks to be a deer that had been ripped open. The two of you kind of lead them there with your tracking to what looks like seems to be something dead that has been dead for probably 2 months.
I'm gonna lean down and examine.
Well, it's a large. You don't have to get too close. It's a large animal, probably a deer. I mean, near a deer path, but it has also been dragged here from the deer path. It has been savaged by claw and teeth, but not claws of anything of any size of a wolf. A wolf paw is, half the
I was
size.
going to ask if we can get an idea of how big the animal
Half the
was.
size. A wolf paw, and forgive my vague knowledge of how animals actually work, is about half the size of a human hand. I mean, give or take.
So we're looking at something about the size of a bear.
And
probably.
this is about, well, everybody can roll natural history if you have it. I mean, you're more than welcome to.
Do you have to have it?
Boom.
You don't have to go.
Yep.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
So wouldn't I have
Yeah.
like, knowledge due to my hunting?
Maybe, but you still have to roll natural history. That's what it goes under. You can roll it. You still have a base chance.
Yeah, I got it on my base chance.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this were a bear, this would be like a polar bear. Like these would be the biggest bears of all, and those kinds of bears don't live in England. Like this is a giant paw or claw that has torn this thing, and the jaw bites from the teeth structure you can see in the body. That's not a bear's structure.
That's a scissor jaw.
Yeah, and this is something did this. Clearly, you guys have an idea, but whatever this was killed this a while ago. And now that you're kind of standing here, you can smell a different scent. The area has been marked.
Is there any teeth that have been left behind, any of the bones or anything?
Give me a
of that
spot
nature?
hidden.
Yes.
No,
I got it.
by 1.
Oh, Shirley got it? Okay. Excellent. So, Shirley, while you're kind of examining it, you notice a slight, like, white glisten in some meat, and you kind of, I assume you just reach right in there. 'Cause you're used to that. You pull it right out. It's a tooth. It's a canine. It's probably 2.5 inches long. I mean, it's the size of a canine that you would not seen before.
I start handing it around.
Clearly a predator. It's bloody and messy. It's been stuck in meat, in rotting meat. So this is clearly out of a predator, a hungry predator. If it lost a tooth and kept going, because this is not just like whatever. But whatever had this in its mouth is not a normal animal.
I would
Does
check
it,
the area for the type of tracks that it may
Okay,
have.
give me a track roll. Go ahead, Jason.
Does it appear that the animal was staged here? Or?
It was dragged off of the trail after it was killed, but before it was consumed, is what you would have to guess. Because
Okay.
the ground isn't.
So that's what I want to know. They're basically giving her food for her.
Not necessarily. It could have been killed and then dragged. There was enough blood there, but most
Well,
of it was.
what I'm saying basically is they're doing like the Jurassic Park thing where you put the sheep on a chain.
No. We were following a game trail, a normal path.
Well,
through the forest.
But somebody, probably her brother,
or
got the animal.
Or it didn't want to eat the animal on the game trail and scare all the other game away. Because that's what predators do. They drag it away from the place they kill it.
I would place money, though, that this was got for her.
That's definitely a possibility for
I'm
to keep her in a controlled area.
I'm going to search the animal.
Okay, hold on just a second. So you're looking for tracks?
The tracks are on.
Did you get your...
No.
Okay. You don't really find much. What were you saying?
Bullet holes?
Give me a spot hidden, yeah.
Yep.
So you searched like the trees and the ground around here and the trail. This is probably 30 meters. Because we're in England now.
Right.
This is probably 30 meters away from the trail. You don't see anything between the trail and where you're at, and you don't see anything within probably 5 or 6 meters around that area either that would necessarily show you that anything modern has been fired. You might find the straight musket ball, but that's been in the tree for 100 years.
Right.
Nothing. You're not seeing anything that says this was shot recent or that a shot went through here recently.
Okay.
What about the animal itself? I'll dig through
It's
the corpse.
it's very possible that if you flip the course, you want to flip the course, you'll need help. But after you get whoever helps you, that's fine. There's no exit wound on the other side, but it is frozen blood on the underside. Like it's cold out here, so it should be frozen, but there's a lot. Like it bled out right here. So, but you don't.
So is that like within the last day?
No. This has been like 2 months ago. It bled out here.
Wouldn't it be more decomposed than that one?
It's cold.
Oh, right.
Bodies don't decompose well in the cold.
Right.
So, Captain Wilkerson, you know enough about animals. You know that whatever the scent is that this extra scent would keep anything, including scavengers, from finding anywhere near this.
It's urine.
Right.
Urine or something along those lines.
Whatever made the scent.
Whatever werewolves give off.
Right.
It's like tigers, basically. They piss on the ground, and then other predators know not to come around.
Yeah. So, you search through the blood as best you can, the frozen blood. You don't feel any bullet holes. There are some like slash marks, there's claw marks that go through, but so it's possible that a bullet hit that exact spot, but it's unlikely.
I mean, I would go as thorough as I could to like even recover a bullet.
Go down to the bones.
Yeah, you're going to go elbow deep, is what you're saying.
In a frozen deer corpse, within the realm of reality. Yes, that's what I.
Just a thought. Yeah. You have no clothes with you where you're at currently. If you do this, you're going to walk into town covered in blood.
That's all right.
Okay.
We're Americans. What do we know?
I just want to make sure you understand that before you make this. That's fine. So you get elbow deep in there and you look and look and look. And you don't really find anything. There's crushed bone. There's broken bones. No. The animal has been ripped. Has been left whole, but the insides have been ripped apart. So.
Any evidence of a bullet is gone.
Well, no. I mean, you don't find anything. There could be evidence if it were shot well in the head. It's clearly not shot in the head.
Right.
If it was shot center mass, you probably wouldn't find it. It's possible, but you're not seeing anything.
So it either was not shot or the predator ate the bullet.
Yes.
Not the only bullet.
Are there tracks?
You can check.
Spot hidden?
Yeah, yes.
No,
tracking.
Tracking?
Yeah.
I got 20-something on my tracking.
It's alphabetical.
Which is definitely good. I beat it by
some. Okay.
Half.
So, you look and find it probably wasn't frozen, but since then it has been it has frozen. You do eventually find a paw print about the size you would expect that would come off a claw, of the size you found. Headed kind of not back towards the castle, but definitely skirting towards the town around the castle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can I find? Is there a trail to follow, or is it?
There
I
really-
only find a print.
You find that print. You could spend some time really trying to track this. It's going to take some time though.
But it's 2 months old, and
Yeah, it's 2 months old, and it's not like you could follow the broken twigs. You're looking just for prints, and that makes it a little bit harder. So,
Okay. While these guys are looking at the corpse, I'm going to tap Weld on the shoulder and kind of motion him to step back a bit.
I step back a bit.
Mr. Weld, I fear what the father's reaction is going to be during this dinner.
Absolutely.
I also fear what our friends might do if presented with the challenge. I believe we're to come clean with the preacher and see if he can talk the father down.
That is an interesting idea. And I think it is quite right. Dealing with something like this, alternate methodologies may be necessary to help this poor girl and help this town.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we should stand on conventional manners in this instance. I agree.
To be clear, this is you talking, so we're going to beat the priest, right? Obviously, he's a heretic.
Things work in a greater scheme. He'll get his comeuppance at a later date.
All right, club him like a blue steel. Gotcha.
so as you guys are kind of
Wait, sorry, quick question.
Yes.
How far away are we from the castle at this point?
You're far enough away that you can see it, but barely.
Okay.
Through the trees. I mean, you're a distance.
Yeah.
As
Just generally.
as you guys kind of finish up, I need you all to give me a listen.
Yes. I hear something.
There's a whole lot of birds out here today.
Oh yeah.
I got it.
Okay, so the three of you that hear this, it sounds like the wind for a moment, like the wind howling, and then it sounds like a wolf, very clearly like a wolf.
Is it
What
getting
direction?
dark?
It's not dark, no.
No, it was like midday.
What direction?
It's more northwest of here.
Is that towards the castle or away from the
No, it's
castle?
away from the castle.
Well,
Okay.
I think I would perk up and I would try to judge the distance because either I'm going after it or I'm not.
It's hard to judge the distance with the way the wind is blowing, but you'd have to guess maybe 100 or more yards northwest of here.
100 yards is
What?
not that far.
It's a football field.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah, it's
It's not that far.
You can fire a rifle at it. You know,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What time of
So,
year is this again?
Winter.
You're in February.
Okay, so the
you're
southern
So-
moon won't be up at the same time.
I grab my handgun out of my holster and I look at everybody else and I'm like, did you guys hear that?
When she does that, I flip my lion's paws down.
Yeah. Yeah, I clearly heard the
Where,
sound
is
of
there a notice to roll? How do you roll a notice?
Notice what?
All right,
Like
Rick,
that-
whoa,
hey, I
no,
just-
no,
Hold on. Guys, crosstalk. So what were you saying?
Is there a notice roll?
No,
In other
I
words,
mean,
can
you're
I
gonna
notice
know-
that those two are just gearing.
You just heard a gun get pulled. You're gonna notice that. I mean, okay.
Time to saddle up.
I'm like, okay, I'm immediately. People are drawing weapons.
Gentlemen, there, did you hear that? It's this way. And I point
I
forward.
heard it. I believe we should get back to town
Back to
and
town.
continue with our plans.
Why wouldn't we go after this thing?
Lead on, Miss McCrea.
Because this
Captain
might not be the thing we're
Wilkerson?
after.
Let's go.
All right,
So,
take point, Miss McCrea.
Have you met our erstwhile companions? Allow me to introduce you to Captain Wilkerson and Miss McCrea.
Miss McCrea in the captain, though, I would plead with you. I know this might be a dangerous situation, and I would not ask you to offer up your lives in place of this poor girl. But remember that this may be a human that we're dealing with, someone who is belaboring under a curse through no fault of her own. So if we can...
shoot her in the knee. I can do
No,
that.
I suggest not shooting her at all.
Well, hit her with her stick then.
No,
As last
no.
resort.
Clearly,
No,
Botticello.
as last resort.
Clearly, Botticello has been replaced.
No.
Yeah. Body snatchers.
I was going to say that.
Or perhaps it is
I have
a
no
trophy
qualms with
worthy of
taking
a
care
true
of
hunter.
evil that has taken evil upon itself. This has been thrust upon her from an outside source. This is entirely different than anything we have met in the past.
So you want an exorcism?
Well, at any rate, we need to subdue her and make sure that she harms no one else. So, we need to go.
Agreed, I'm just saying we should take her life as a last resort. I don't think calling her a trophy would be a good idea. This is not the Hun we're dealing with, after all. This is a poor girl who suffers from a curse of the blood.
Fair enough.
So,
Let's go.
so Miss McCrea, you are leading this expedition, so I'm going to need you and you alone to roll track.
Yeah.
All right.
Killed it.
So you get headed at a rather quick pace through the woods. You go about 150 yards northwest, and to that point you start to slow down and look a little closer, and you notice there's a clear difference in the terrain. You're already up in the hills, but now there's rocks instead of dirt. And the foliage is almost gone anyway because it's the winter, but it is receding even more. And you find that you're staring at a cave opening. And by cave opening, I don't mean like, oh, look, it's the side of a hill, there's an opening. I mean, you're looking at a hole in the ground.
Right.
Anyone of size 9 or smaller could probably fit through. Anything bigger than that is going to be very difficult.
I'm not getting down that hole.
Me neither.
All right.
We don't have any torches with us.
No.
We could make one.
And as you say, we don't have any torches, you again hear that howl coming directly from that.
Do we all hear it at this point?
Yes.
I remove. Do we have flashlights?
Yeah.
Torches?
I assume somebody has.
All right. I pull out a torch.
You can't see very far. It twists down. And,
Can we do a search around the area real fast to see if this isn't just a normal wolf's den? Just throwing it out there.
Roll natural history, Mr.
Absolutely.
Hunter.
Yep.
No, this would not be a wolf's den. It's
No,
too,
this
it's
not
too
how-
open and unprotected. It just worst case scenario, this might be where a wolf goes, but that's unlikely. So.
This does not share the natural characteristics of where a wolf would den.
I'll trust your expertise.
So
Torch in one hand, shotgun in the other. Let's go down the hole. I'm a size 10.
you're size 10?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm skinny enough.
So what I need you to roll is your dexterity times 4. And you can get under. You don't. You're size 9, you'll slide ish through.
Yeah, I missed it by 7. 47 over 40.
Is anyone else going with them? So just the two of them.
I'm a size 12.
I'm size 11.
14.
13.
Johnny ain't going nowhere.
I will stand guard.
What if we need to plug the hole?
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's
nice.
messed up.
That is messed up.
Scott, you've seen the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, right?
I have. Is that what happens?
Yeah, you get to the point where you're like, I can't go anywhere. I can't. And like, you guys can see his feet and you pull, and you can probably pull him back out. There's no way you can get any farther in.
So I
And
stopped at
McCrea
that
is in front of
time,
you.
and
Did anybody bring the grease?
Hold on. Let her finish.
I stopped at that time. Captain Wilkerson, don't worry, I'll take it from here, and I take the flashlight from him.
Okay.
I don't think one of us should go down there alone.
Well,
You're outside
Oh,
there,
yeah,
buddy
that's
boy.
right.
This isn't tiptoeing. You're sliding
There's a big
through.
plug in the hole for you to be able to hear that conversation.
Hey, you're
so it's
sliding
like
through on your belly.
It's
Yeah.
a gradient, and
Yeah,
like
like,
there's pebbles coming out.
There's
from my
pebbles,
feet,
and no, we're not talking feet. You're not walking. You're crawling through a cave. This is one of those caves. Like, this isn't like a nice cave that we've
spelunking.
ever been to. This is downright. You could come up to the next area and it just open up into the giant cave, and you could fall to your death. So you're being careful, but this isn't something where you just trade right through. It's not a big deal. This is a cave.
Yeah, I got my midsection stuck in it.
A tunnel.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's a
Wormhole.
tunnel more. Yes.
You're army crawling, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can still hold your gun in and flashlight and get a good idea where you're going. It's not like you're going to run into a hole and die. But
If something shows up in front of you,
Godspeed, Miss McCrea. I hand her the
but also, it should
torch.
be pointed out that if there's a werewolf, it's not fitting through here either.
right.
I mean, if Captain Wilkerson, who's generally an average-sized person, can't fit through.
And the howl came through here?
Huh?
Dude, I'm calling.
You're
So
gonna keep
I'm
going.
going to take my trench knife and
Like,
begin.
It
very-
I want to clear
As a
enough space
human.
to move forward.
And
Very
transform.
slow.
Take your time.
Okay, so Captain Wilkerson backs up a little bit with a little bit of help from you guys and starts swinging as best he can to open up the area.
Chiseling.
Meanwhile, all you're hearing is this as you see, you look back and he's trying to clear the area, and you go and you come to a small open room. And by room, I mean it's a cave. Yeah. It's probably 4 foot tall, maybe 10 foot wide, and like 6 foot deep. And you pull yourself out. There are.
I'm not getting out.
Well, okay. So
I'm like at the edge. I've got my gun
and you shine
cocked,
your flashlight around.
like,
there are like small holes and tubes and just cave works or cave openings throughout this whole room.
Are any of them larger than the small hole that I'm crawling through?
There's one, but the rest are probably smaller. And when you listen, the howling's coming from like 2 or 3 of them.
I'm going to crawl back out and tell them.
Can you roll me a natural history? Or, I'm sorry, not natural history. Geology.
16.
So, geology is not on there.
No, it is. It's 1%.
Geology is 1%.
Okay. So, you don't know what exactly is going on, but if you had to guess, given, because your natural history is 10. Never mind. So, yeah.
So you should come describe this to us.
So she crawls back to you, and what are you telling?
I got down to the end, and there was a rather smallish opening into a cavern of about 4 foot by 6 foot. Then all around this cavern, there were holes exactly like the tunnel that I crawled through, coming from different directions. I then heard the sound of the howl again, and it seemed like it was coming from 2 or 3 of the holes that were coming from a different direction. So it looks like there's tunnels from different places coming into this central location.
So anyone that wants to roll natural history is more than welcome. Or geology, if you have it, I will accept that and you'll get more information.
Got it.
Okay.
I rolled an 6
on
natural history.
Okay. So those of you who got your natural history, that's probably some sort of cave works. Like, that's not unheard of. Scott, did you succeed on your natural history?
Yes.
Now that you think about it, Castle Plum, if you remember your history right, used to be an iron mining facility. And this castle was built here 400 years ago to protect that. Plum being some Latin translation for, or something similar to a Latin translation for iron, I believe.
Right.
So caves and iron, that makes sense. So you never know where, if they mined the area and it clearly got mined out, they've quit mining the area. So what are you going to do?
Yeah,
there's just a bunch of caves. She could be anywhere with the way that the sound travels.
Okay.
Were there any leading back up to the castle?
With the twists and turns,
direction.
give me a spot hidden. We'll go with that. With the twists and turns you took, it's really difficult to
Oh, I
tell.
got it right on.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. So with the twists and turns you took, even then, you could tell that maybe there's one that went back to the castle-ish, but that's assuming you went in a direct line.
Okay.
So. Okay.
Then I extract myself.
Okay.
With the aid of whoever needs to.
Okay.
I push you back out of the...
I just realized we're going to show back up for dinner. He's going to be blood to the elbows, and she's going to look.
It was a 15-minute walk back to town. I was
we can go
assuming I
back
could
and
go
change.
That's why I said it
Yeah,
was
we're just
fine.
going to run into the constable on the edge of town. He's going to go, "What the hell?"
No, the constable is a moron. We'll go, "We were hunting and it got away after we killed it." I'm like, "Oh, that's a good idea."
It wasn't iron; it was lead.
Oh, okay.
And
Plum
the
makes
word
more
and
sense.
plum
Plum
comes
makes much
from
more sense.
plumbum, which is Latin for lead.
Just Latin gibberish.
And it's also rumored that it's named Castle Plum because it fell into the hands of King Edward III, liketh a plum. So, you guys head back to town.
Are we done here?
I believe we are.
So you guys head back to town, and the constable meets you at the end of the town and shoots you and Byrne. You head back into town. You do pass by a couple of the farms, and they do give Ian a strange look.
Smile and nod.
But, like, you
Yeah.
know,
How do you react to that?
Unless they approach and ask questions, I don't
none of their
pay them
business.
any mind.
So you go back
I
to
just tip my hat and say howdy.
the inn bar or tavern and
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have any other plans for the day?
So, would
I'm
you
gonna
like to
go
go
get a shot.
visit the preacher?
Sure.
So the rest of the other four of you, Ian, you're changing
Yeah.
and
Bathing.
probably bathing. Okay.
I'm going to go change after I've obviously.
Okay. Professor.
I'm just gonna freshen up.
Okay.
I mean,
I guess I will too.
You can go get a shot at the bar.
I'm gonna make sure
I've
my
already shot at the
little
bar.
thing is still in my hat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll go get a shot at the bar and talk to the bartender about the happenings of stuff going on.
While you're covered in dirt from crawling through the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Botticello, you know you are in a dress, right?
I'm not in a dress.
Yeah, you are.
You told us you dressed in like a woman here.
No, and
Yes.
you guys told me to go back and change.
Nope.
Yeah, you did.
Wow, that's touching. That was while you were out hunting with.
So you are in a torn and dirty dress. Are you sure you want to go straight to the bar?
How did I have my gun then?
You told us that you carried your gun.
That you carried your gun with the dress.
strapped it around the dress.
That's what you said.
That's hilarious. God bless it. So no, I'm gonna go change.
Okay.
I'm not going to the bar.
So Mr. Botticello and Mr. Weld.
I will also change into because it's muddy, and I'm going to buy, because it's legal here, a bottle of gin to take with us to the priest.
Okay.
Why would buying a bottle of gin not be legal?
In
No, I'm
the
saying because it
States,
is legal here. Not in the States, it's not.
because
okay.
it's prohibition.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You're like, I don't get it. What?
So
I'm enjoying my newfound freedom.
You guys head to the.
That's why I'm getting shot.
You head to the priest, Mr. Botticello, Mr. Weld. You head to the priest. You knock on the door. You're met with the same.
Wait, I want to have a conversation with you.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
How do you feel like we should approach this? Should we be straightforward
I
as we
plan on
address?
being. That's what I figured. I would stay. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to tell him I've done you a disservice. I thought there was something sinister going on here. I unfortunately rifled through your things while you were away. I stumbled across your journal.
Totally by accident.
In the locked drawer, I stumbled across your journal. Wow.
Well, as a priest, hopefully he'll be in the forgiving mood.
Hopefully he'll see that we're all working on the same side relatively quickly.
Perhaps.
But that's another reason I wanted someone else to come along with me just in case.
All right.
And remember, you're dealing with a heretic.
Duly warned, I will be going
On
along
the
with this.
scale of heretics, he's very low on the list.
Really?
Yes.
Druid order?
It's
Deals
still
with
not-
werewolves.
He's not summoning big creepy things with tentacles.
Yeah, but
So-
he's not just your garden variety Protestant.
Yeah,
He's on the
but
list.
you were ready, willing, and able to Superman out a window and club some dude to death
He had killed
on
somebody.
a moment's notice. But this guy,
No, but fair.
the priest,
All we know is the priest dresses up in a
member of
robe.
a secret druidic order, a pagan, if you will, dealing with supernatural creatures, hiding them from the world.
Harbinger.
You just want to talk to this
on,
guy.
on different circumstances. I
Who
would
you
take it
read through
differently,
the
but-
secret occultist journal that he keeps. What have you done with Botticello? Whoa.
If he doesn't kick in the door, he's a wild person.
Weld is down with alternative points of view and spirituality, so I'm okay with this. This is good. I'm
You're
ready.
about to be witness to a hate crime.
He's taking me there. He's taking me there so he can kill me too, I think. All right.
Just so we're clear, hate crime coming.
Okay, so you guys head over there with a plan, quote unquote, in mind.
It's not a plan, it's an approach.
Exactly.
You knock the same woman, oldish woman, in her 40s.
You knock her what?
Knock on the door. And
Oh, and
the
then she comes over. You're like, you
she's
knock this woman, and I'm like,
No, she's an elderly,
finish the sentence.
elderly
Down,
lady in
over?
her 40s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, elderly lady in her 40s.
Yeah, exactly.
She answers the door, invites you in again without like, oh, you're back. Oh, just come on in. And the Reverend comes out. What can I do for you, gentlemen, again?
Well, Reverend, would you join us for a drink? There's some things we feel like we need to discuss with you. I'll offer the bottle of gin to him.
Seems like the perfect time. And he goes and grabs a couple of glasses and pours each of you a drink and sits down and motions for you to do the same.
All right. Is the maid still kicking around?
No, it's just the two of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Is the maid still kicking around? Or
She's left the room.
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry. We have done you a disservice. We were told to come to this town to research the strange happening that's been going on. We were afraid you had something to do with it.
Okay, and this disservice?
I found your journal.
I visibly wince when he says this.
Found.
So,
At this time,
by found, you mean you picked my lock?
I might have broken a key in there too. It might take a little bit to repair it. I'm sorry
I'm
about
aware. Because after you left, I went to go review my notes and couldn't open it.
I am sorry about that. I'm typically better at those sort of things.
Can I have it?
I'm a better thief than that usually.
Can I have my books back?
Do you have them still?
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, one of our friends still has the book.
We will return it as soon as we're
We
possible. Immediately after
Go ahead.
we finish speaking with you, we will get it back to you.
Yes.
So,
If there's anything we can do to help you,
why
in
did you
resolving this
steal
issue.
my book? What made you look in my drawer to begin with?
Say it. You know you want to say
Say it.
My compatriot here, he sometimes takes matters into his own hands. He is a bit hot-headed, and discretion is not always his strongest trait. But we have all been dealing with threats of a terrifying and awful nature, abominations.
And you thought the priest was clearly involved.
I didn't.
I did.
Oh God.
And again,
Sorry.
So why did you believe that I had the information?
You are a leader of the community, and I figured as a leader of the community, someone must have turned to you for aid.
Is that the truth?
Not entirely.
No, I'm asking.
No, it's not the truth.
Just a lying thief.
Any other reason, Mr. Botticello? I don't feel that you're being as forthcoming as you could.
We don't fall on the same spiritual lines.
Of course not. You're American. No American I've ever met follows the Church of England.
I put my hand out and kind of motion towards you. My friend here has a very narrow mindset of
A very
spiritual
correct mindset.
Pardon?
A very correct mindset.
A very correct. What he says is a very correct mindset, but is, as you can no doubt understand, a very narrow mindset about what constitutes proper worship. I do not have that same viewpoint, but it might have led him to suspect you because you are of a different style of Christian than him, to put it bluntly. Is that fair, Mr. Botticello?
That is fair. And there are bigger things at risk now than spiritual debates.
So, I'm to believe that because I don't share your exact belief, that you believe that I was killing and murdering people in my own town.
Not that you're killing or murdering.
Spontaneously, might I add. 2 months ago, I spontaneously murdered 3 people for no reason whatsoever.
He thought you might have knowledge. Not that
Knowledge,
sort of
I understand. But is that what you're saying, Mr. Botticello? Is that you thought I was the cause of this?
I did believe you were in cahoots.
Are you choosing to
with
lie
what it
in
is.
the Lord's house?
No, I am not.
Mr.
I'm
Bott,
being
'cause
very
you have-
careful not to. I have
Because
yet to lie to you.
you've kept things from me already. Would you like to stop lying by omission and perhaps be a little more truthful and blunt with me?
I have not lied since we walked into the store.
I take a slug of gin and pour everyone another round.
This is going to be a conversation with alcohol.
I did believe you were in cahoots with whatever this problem was, and it does seem to be that you are. However,
Cahoots. Could you explain cahoots? Define it for me.
cahoots, working along with...
And in a way, I am in fact working along with this creature.
Well, you're trying to help it, and that is what we wish to do,
How
too.
am I trying to help this creature?
To heal her. To make her better.
Or at least
Yes.
that's what we got from the journal.
I have no interest in helping the creature.
The girl.
Eloise,
The
on
woman.
other
Yes,
hand.
Yes.
the lady.
Let's make that distinction, John.
Absolutely, 100% absolutely do I agree with that view.
So I'm not, in fact, in cahoots with this monster.
No.
Thank you.
We are here because we wish things to go a different route than they seem to be going.
We want the safety of the people in the town, of the Vanes, of Eloise, and we want it to be done in a manner that is not with no further bloodshed as much as we are possible. Excuse me. As much as we can possibly assure.
Well, the situation as it stands is that you believe that Eloise is the cause of this, and I share that belief. But there's been no attack in 2 months.
Yes. Have you seen her in 2 months?
Yes. I go up and speak with Sir Vane on a semi-regular basis.
Have you kept track of the phases of the moon when you've gone up to Castle Plum?
I'm aware. She's never available during those times. But at the same time, what are we to do? Sir Vane seems to have it in hand, and his right, by law.
By law? By man's law? By the law of what is right?
By the church's law. The head of my church is none but the king. Do I go against the law or the church? Because both are the same.
What about God?
Mr. Botticello may not like this, but what God tells me comes from my king. My king says that Sir Vane is the authority here. He is in fact the authority here.
And you would damn this woman.
I do not damn her, but I have no...
By your actions you do, sir.
Do I have... You've noticed the writing. I have not finished translating. I'm working my best. Would you like me to ask for help and shame or embarrass this family?
You British. With your shame and your conventions and your manners, and you fail to do what is right because you are afraid of making someone embarrassed. That is not what God would wish for you to do as a spiritual father. Tend to your flock, sir.
I understand your fervor. Being of a different culture makes it very difficult to understand our ways.
Oh, I understand them too well.
But I am tending our flock. If this had happened again the next month, things would be different. But clearly Sir Vane has it in hand enough.
Not for the poor girl, and that's who I'm the most worried about.
I don't know that there's much more than I can offer other than the research I've done. Clearly you have that already. What is your next step?
Unfortunately, we might have instigated a situation. He has invited us back to dinner this evening.
Or at least one of our number.
Which we will not send alone.
And you instigated... What exactly happened?
I approached him and asked him to view the situation as I felt a father should, with love for his daughter.
With the same fervor.
I'm afraid I embarrassed him. How terrible of me. I feel awful about it. But the other option would be for her to get loose and for someone to kill her, or for her to kill some other people and then for someone to kill her. And I thought that if I were to weigh that against one man's embarrassment amongst a group of Americans and one Britishman he would never see again, I would take that risk. But my culture is different than yours.
It is, absolutely. So your plan is to attend this dinner this evening?
I do not know. What do you think? Honestly.
I think that your mannerisms are only going to inflame a problem.
Most likely. I'm very upset by this.
Rather than calm and soothe a man who has earned a knighthood.
I laugh. I fought alongside your boys in the fields of France. I know what a knighthood earns. I've seen the cost of your people's honor. It's a bloody and dull thing, sir.
I see. I would suggest using diplomacy rather than blunt force.
My question to you then, and I apologize not for being upset with this and short with this, as far as it concerns the lady, because that is what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about offending you, I'm worried about her, and if any of my passion and fervor causes her further harm and makes this more difficult. That is the only thing I'm sorry for. But knowing that, sir, what do you suggest we do? I can calm myself and go up there, or I can make myself scarce, as can Mr. Botticello. But if we send the good captain up there alone into a place of danger, is that a wise thing? How would you handle it?
I would find a way to soothe the father so that he reveals what he has yet to reveal to anyone, including myself.
How? What would soothe him? I approached him as a father. I thought that might help. It did not, clearly.
I would let the British speak to the British.
Alone?
Not necessarily alone, but I would keep my mouth shut.
All right.
Your mannerism and your culture do not lead you to hold the same niceties that this culture holds, and that is only going to push him farther away.
Can you tell me anything that I may tell Captain Wilkerson that may be used as, to put it bluntly, a lever or a wedge? Something, I don't know. If not love for his daughter, then what will?
Give me time to think on that. Bring the captain back with the group of you, and we'll discuss this again.
Father, thank you.
And I'm sorry for what I've done in the
I
past.
hope to see my voice back as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Thank you. And he finishes his drink, which is now a double shot because he hadn't had any of it while he was talking to you. He drinks it all right down, puts the glass down, and says, I will see you back in shortly, I assume.
I look at his liquor cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there a liquor cabinet or a
There
place?
there is.
What predominates? Is there something that he likes?
I don't know. What are the British? Is there a British...
Gin or scotch, I would think, would be appropriate.
Yeah,
Scotches.
so I guess, I'd probably gin. So the bottle of gin you brought him was probably very appropriate.
Okay.
So, you two leave, I assume, then?
Yeah.
All right. And that will do us right now, and we will see you guys next episode.